So my answer would be yes. I think PhD is definitely going to have a theoretical link in there. Okay, then the last point, let's just talk about presenting your proposal. Now, you might not actually be explicitly required to present your proposal, but it is very good practice, because remember, a proposal is kind of like a contract. So you sort of said to your university, okay, this is what I'm going to study, this is why I'm going to study it, and this is how I'm going to study it. And they will then approve that study. And once again, think about it in the different levels as well. So at an honors level, these things are going to happen a lot quicker, right? Because it's all going to be done within a few months. Masters is going to take a bit longer, etc. And PhD, it's going to take even a bit longer than that. So a presentation of your proposal is something I would strongly encourage that you do. And at the high levels, you're going to most definitely have to do one, but gives you almost like a test, of your proposal and your thinking, where you will have to, present your proposal to supervisors. I would suggest you get a couple of experts in, and just like any contract is sort of tested through some type of discussion or presentation or an opportunity to engage and talk about it, so too that presentation is this opportunity. And you should not rely on, supervisors or other people having provided you all the feedback in the actual written document to get everything that you need. You should anticipate that in your presentation there are going to be changes. And so I had a version of my proposal before I presented to what is called a panel, and then I had a version of my proposal after the panel, and I was very structured in terms of the questions that came up in that panel and how I dealt with those questions in my proposal. So in the course, what I do also teach is not only obviously the sort of approach that you need to take to presenting an academic research proposal, but also the mechanics of presenting, typically with PowerPoint. Is that something that you will be using, and most probably in an online setting, while we're all still struggling with lockdowns, etc. That PowerPoint presentation will actually become more of a focus in an online setting. Tato, absolute pleasure, no problem. Hope that was helpful. And you can see there the 3 lessons. So the 3 lessons that you get in the course is learn basic PowerPoint features. So I walk through the tips and techniques of PowerPoint, and then I teach you slightly more advanced PowerPoint features. And a lot of us guys, we also part-time, or we're going to end up in employment, and presentations is a very important part of being successful in the workplace. And then there's a lesson there. I take you through some examples of how not to do PowerPoint slides. So that's quite a fun lesson. So that's all in the course, and that's all available for you to have a look at. But I would really encourage you, and by all means, if you don't have to do a formal presentation, get a couple of us, join the Facebook group. I put the link in there. Get a couple of us online, on a WhatsApp call, on a Zoom call, Teams, wherever, it doesn't matter, and just run through it. And I'm happy, as I say, to put 30 minutes in and test that presentation and test your ability to walk through it. Because here's the thing, if you're doing research and you're going in and you're doing interviews and you're entering the field, if you're not able to present the what, the why, and the how of your research study to a select group of people who ultimately support you and want you to be successful, then you're going to struggle to articulate the basics of your proposal and what you intend to accomplish with your research when you go out into the world. And you go and you have to get interviews, or you have to get surveys done, and people are going to come with questions, and why are we doing this, and what's the value of this? And if you get this what, why, and how as a well-rehearsed message that you're able to present and talk about with people, you're just going to be more successful throughout your whole degree. And this is something that I teach you in the course. Your introduction from your proposal, a lot of that can go in the introduction of your final report. Your literature review, a lot of that can go in your final report. Methodology, obviously it'll be a difference between before you actually execute your methodology and then once you've completed it. There'll be a slight difference in that, but there's a lot of reuse from a good proposal for your final report. Okay, and then of course something that you will all have heard me talk a lot about is this importance of writing well, writing early and writing often, and that doesn't change with your proposal. It's obviously smaller than a final report. The more effort that you put into it, the more you'll be able to reuse it for your final report. But hop onto the YouTube channel for these videos, just coaching tips about writing well, writing early, and writing often. And those of you that have got submission dates sort of March, April, etc., you now need to be writing often to get the progress that you need on your proposal. but it's just a good practice. And then once you've got your proposal, you'll see me and hear me talk about this a lot in other courses. When you finish that proposal presentation and the university has approved your study, that's when you need to start writing your final report. And while it's fresh in your mind, go and set up that final report and take everything that you can from your proposal and stick it in there. Then you're going to go through your data gathering and analysis stage. And then by the time you come back to that document, or even as you go through that, you can start updating it with everything else. Let's say you're getting ethics clearance. Take that ethics clearance certificate and put that in the appendix of your final report, because you're going to need to put it in there anyway. And if you've left it on your hard drive somewhere in a folder somewhere, that's a step that you're still going to have to take and worry about later on. Fix it now, get it done. And that's what I mean by writing early. Okay, so not just early in the day, that might be your pattern,